Hello, this is Brian Higney, instructor of game and interactive media. So, what we just did, and what I just did was I selected my monument pieces in my blueprint, and in my world or in my scene, I navigated over to the button, and I ended up moving my monument over until I could see all of the pieces, right? And that's roughly like right there. Right? And so now I can see the piece. And that might be what we need to do. And then what I did was I rotated it 90 degrees, and there it looks like a wonderful plus. But if I rotate that monument to 70 degrees, that's not a plus at all. And so I have a working puzzle here in the sense that when it's turned 90 degrees, it works pretty well. So I'm going to set that back to 0. There, and now it looks like that. Perfect. And so what we're going to do here is we are going to actually set up functionality, because right now when I hit play and I run over to my button, I can see that weird shadow and nothing happens. I added a little cylinder, a flat cylinder, to kind of be the magic thing for this, to kind of hold this above in the air. Okay, so what do we need to do? Let's go ahead and open up our blueprint and start adding functionality. All right, I can expand this a little bit. And right now in our event graph, we have nothing. Nothing, nothing, nothing. In our viewport, what I'm going to want to do is click this box. Nope, I already checked it. Okay, I'll check in a little bit. And this trigger box is what is going to cause the thing, the monument, to rotate, helping us get our shadow. So the first thing I'm going to do is create an event such as on component begin overlap, and I can click this plus. I'm recording myself right now. So how about I talk to you in a second? And when I click that plus, it'll take me to my event graph and say on component begin overlap this box. And when I stand on it, it will fire this event off. And the first thing I'm going to do is drag out a little line from the execution button and type in timeline, because I like to work with timelines for my animations. Hit enter. I'm going to name it plus animation, and I'm going to double click to go into it, and right now there's nothing there. It's 5 seconds, 5-second long animation with nothing there. I'm going to click this add a float track, which means I can add a number of values along a float, which is decimal points, and I'm going to shift click twice to add 2 nodes. Shift click once, shift click twice, that line, I can add a node, and I'm going to select the first node and set it to time equals 0 and value equals 0. I'm going to select the second node and say time equals 5, value equals 1. Now I already know this is going to be too fast. And when I zoom out here, I'm going to click these little scale, zoom to fit horizontal, zoom to fit vertical. I'm going to actually set my value of time, I think, to something like 15 seconds. And so then the next thing I'm going to do is select that second node that I created and say time equals 15. There. Now I have a 15-second long animation, and that should work. Now all it does is along that line, along this timeline, from 0 to 15 seconds, it goes from 0 value to 1. Okay, so halfway through, so 7.5 seconds into this animation, that value of that new track is 0.5. So what are we going to do? We are going to rotate this monument. So I'm going to drag that scene component called monument into my event graph, drag a node off of there, and say, oh, rotation, but we're going to set its relative rotation. There. Now, from the update node from the animation timeline, I'm going to drag it into the set relative rotation. That means as this is updating 60 times a second, it's going to set the relative rotation to a thing. And I could set it to like one thing. I could set it to 90. And if I were to do that and compile it and hit play, when I were to go to that button, it would set that rotation to 90. There, and it's the plus. But I don't want it to jump to 90. I want it to animate from 0 to 360. So that new rotation is not going to be a set value. It's going to be a linear interpolation. Hey, East, can you open the door for Bailey? So I'm going to type in lerp from new rotation, and it's going to say, oh, you want a linear interpolation for a rotator? Yes, rotator. And so it's going to linearly interpolate from A value to B value, and that's going to be a Z rotation to, you guessed it, 360 degrees, because that's how many degrees are in a circle. Enter. Now this alpha is, just note that this is going to multiply or linear interpolate using this alpha value, and that value is going to be driven by this animation. All right, there. So now every 60 times a second it's going to update this, and its new rotation is going to be going from 000 to 00360 along a 15-second animation. Okay, let's compile that, save it, and we will see that when we do this now, it slowly rotates. Yay, yay, yay. What did you say, darling? Okay. Now, there's no way to stop it. I mean, I could get off the button and it would stop. And I could get on the button. Oh, and nothing happens! That's right. Cool. So what we want to do next is add functionality, like I can get off and leave, and I can get on and restart it, okay? So let's add that. Now, update it. What I want to do is when on component end overlap with this same trigger volume, that box, come on, click the box there, and all the way at the bottom, on component end overlap, we're going to click that add button. And when you end overlapping that, it's going to stop. There. So when we get on it, it'll play. When we get off of it, it'll stop. And when it's finished, it'll do nothing. So when we finished it, we can drag this off and delay it. We have to delay it for some reason. And let's delay it for 0.1 second. And then when it's completed, it's going to play from the start. There. Compile that, save it. Now, I'm going to sneeze. Achoo! Achoo! Now, when I go to this button, I can get off of it, it'll stop rotating, on it, it'll rotate, off it, stop rotating, and we can keep going. And it should keep going around and around and around and around and around. There. Okay, good. Now what we need to do is figure out which rotation it's going to be that perfect square in. So I'm going to stand on here, and I'm going to look at my wall and rotate that monument. I think it's going to be 90. Hold on. All right, so I actually forgot what I was doing. Let's see what's going on here. Set that back. I delayed it. Great. I don't remember what I was doing. I had a doggy bathtub filling, and that's what I just finished. Oh, right. Okay, I want to see what angle is the best angle. So what I'm going to do is watch that. Maybe drag this over here. And then open up this. Drag that here. Click on the monument and kind of drag it to see when the best. And it looks like 82.7 is a pretty good angle. 82.75? Yeah. So at 82.75, I want that to stop and stop going for good. So I think what I'll do in the next video is talk about how I can set that up. Because right now we just went over how we can set up the initial rotation in the blueprint and have it work. And it just keeps going around and around. So in the next video, we'll talk about how we get it to stop at a certain point. All right. Hope you look forward to the next video. Bye.